just gonna start the recording here, and there we are. Any minute now. Ah, there we are. Well, for the beginning wise, it's not going to be anything particularly different from usual. The good old double shooter build is pretty much mandatory for Orkz, and Uncle Phil is of course getting the Space Marine, tactical Space Marine squad as soon as possible. One thing you can do in this map though is, you'll notice that my commander decided to skip out on capping the victory point early on, instead opting to go for the power node as soon as possible. Needless to say, a lot of races have a lot of power issues early on, and Orkz are definitely one of the races that will want to have their power up as soon as possible. So, as you can see, Uncle Phil decided to go for the requisition set, seeing how Power decided to go for the victory point, seeing how requisition tends to be a more significant issue for the Space Marines early on. Already got a bit of an engagement down here. Did send my second shooter squad out to try and cap this point, hoping to find the scouts capping that, but seeing how it was a tactical marines, there's no way I'm gonna be able to force this also, so I just decided to retreat before taking any losses whatsoever. Map is now getting pushed quite into Uncle Phil's favor. He's already pushed in towards the middle, and I'm a bit behind in capping up here, of course. Had a bit more distance to actually get there. Once again, my shooters are unable to actually get anything done, and Uncle Phil is very quickly predicting which way I'll be going. Instead of heading up here again, he instead decides to place his tactical marines here, denying me the opportunity to actually try and bash this generator. However, by doing this, I know that he's got both his major damage dealers over here, so I do instead decide to instantly go for his proper power farm. Uncle Phil is of course going to be countering that with a flamer of his own, and in the meantime I'm getting a second slugger squad. I've had a fair bit of success with getting 2 sluggers and 2 shooters against Space Marines, since generally the double slugger is going to be very hard to force off without both shotgun scouts, and usually you'll need another melee deterrent as well, such as the biotics ability on the Techmarine to actually keep those guys off your tactical marines. Yeah, I'm sending the, as you can see, I'm sending the second slugger squad after them. I don't really expect them to catch them or anything, but I just need them to keep on the move and try and keep them away from my power farm as much as possible. Meanwhile, Uncle Phil is sending out his Techmarine here to try and get a few model kills off while I'm trying to steal his power node here. I'm sending in my Kommando up in order to force him into melee. The Kommando node will easily beat the Techmarine in melee combat if actually given a chance. In the meantime, I do manage to get enough red to actually use the cloaking ability in these sluggers. You can see they're just gonna go in there and instantly go for the shotgunners. They're the ones that are actually doing the major damage, and I would never be able to actually get model kills on the tactical marines before they finish cap map. I do manage to kill off one of these scout marines and leave them severely wounded. Meanwhile, my Kommando has been forced to chase the Techmarine around a little, and they're now pretty even and health with the Techmarine having a slight advantage. Uncle Phil is now getting an assault marine squad, which is a pretty decent decision. Both the Kommando knob, as long as he doesn't have a knife, as well as the double shooters are pretty much negated as soon as they jump by the assault marines. Of course, having a double slugger, he needs to be very careful while he's actually jumping that. Here I decided to... Uncle Phil predicted I was going to try and decap his requisition point here, but seeing how he doesn't have any detectors, I decided to hard out here in the middle until he actually moved away. He is reacting quickly enough with his scouts, but I don't think they'll be able to both detect me and push me off before I can actually manage to decap the point. He's getting very close though. You can see he just used his ability to knock me away from the requisition point. Barely not in time, so he's gonna have to recapture it. Of course, that means the commander's gonna retreat past the base, which could get dangerous, but it's gonna be fine for now. Meanwhile, seeing how the power position is quite a bit in my favor, I decide to try and keep Uncle Phil off as much as possible. Jumps in those there, but I got the second squad of sluggers coming and I'm decided to pop war and start trying to get some choppy done. He still does manage to get off a model cannon and retreat without any significant losses, so that was probably an engagement in his favor, especially seeing how I used a decent amount of red whacking up these sluggers here.
Rearming.
He's been rather aggressive about it, seeing how he does have these tactical marines and flamers, and should be able to actually get up. And I did put a power node on his power farm over to the lane as much as possible, but it's definitely pretty much just a question of trying to these guys starting to look rather ugly though. So to try and retreat all these guys, but they're getting dangerously low. Don't think any of them goes down here, but that could definitely have gone bad real quickly. Got a double shooter, big shooters on the shooter boys as well. Pretty much business as usual. That. He's finally getting back both his power down here, and he is also capping his naturally power nodes. Well, and as you can see with the assault marine jumping in, these guys are just gonna have to try and cut as well as they can, but. Yeah, being heavy armor, they're gonna have a hard time with that. Sluggers are ready to come in again, and it is quite a dangerous group to have coming here. Scouts very nicely knocking back these guys to prevent any model losses from occurring, actually. And here I'm still rather annoyed that he tried to push that through. He was down to pretty much one hit point, as the spectators note. Still, I didn't think it would be worth the risk to pursue him. Seeing how he, as soon as he got into the base, he would start out healing any damage I could do to him. So a wasted opportunity, but waste not, want not. Seeing how Uncle Phil is still struggling in regards to power, he's decided to go for the second tactical marine squad, which of course could be quite dangerous. I do think I make a mistake here, seeing how I know that my that the power position is so vastly in my favor. I definitely should have decided to go for a war trukk. But as far as I recall, I don't do that in that game, which is definitely a big mistake on my part. Yeah, these sluggers aren't going to be able to cap this point. I do have the knob leaders queued up on both squads, seeing how those guys become much better as soon as they had a big guy leading. End up getting the knife upgrade on my Kommando up as well. Got a bit of packing if we finally managed to set them up there. Both the sluggers here, I do believe Uncle Phil spots it, so he's gonna retreat. Yeah, he retreats up before the sluggers can get in position entirely. If I had kept them down here, I do believe I would have managed to sneak him off at I might have lost a few more shooter models, but on the other hand, he might not have retreated those guys before it was too late. Still though, despite the tech disadvantage, Uncle Phil is holding out pretty well. He is behind in regards to victory points, and then of course his power is still a fair bit behind, knocking around the poor guys here. Of course, sluggers with both a leader and burners, they are doing very well against this assault marine indeed, and he was very fortunate to actually get those guys out. However, he does manage to kill my Kommando not to stay in the fight for too long. So definitely a mistake on my part there. Bit of a lull before the storm at the moment. These are of course pushing the shooter boys as far away as I can. Do end up trying to once again cloak my slugger boys there. Phil reacts pretty quickly though, and I do believe he only suffers a single model loss from this. Still, a single model loss is very expensive to space race indeed, as you can see his requisition is already low as is. So that loss is definitely going to be rather troublesome for him. It's probably one of the... this pretty much shows the importance of controlling resources early on. I managed to inflict a few losses here and there, and in addition to holding the power nodes for so long and forcing him to rebuy generators, he's very much starved for requisition at the moment. End up popping the ability of the slugger boys to both negate the damage but also the suppression effects of the mastercrafted boulder on his Techmarine. So I do manage to get off another model from his tactical squad here. Well, they are, however, starting to get sandwiched in with Uncle Phil having a sergeant out now. He's now going to be able to try and do a decent grenade scope hack. And ooh, there. 2 targets down. That could have been much, much worse indeed. Very nice throw from Uncle Phil there. Meanwhile, though, the sluggers are pretty much doing their thing, and it does look like Uncle Phil actually managed to kill one of the shooter boys off. I don't know if I was doing this retreat or if I somehow missed that. Rather annoying, actually. Phil once again trying to contest the bottom victory point, doing a bit of stabbing on the assault marines. I do believe I used the ability there to try and inflict a quick model loss, but it's not quite enough damage, so the assault marines are forced off, but unfortunately no kills there. Still, it gave the slugger boys time to once again recap the bottom power node. Do call out one of these here commandos to try and stop this capping up here. However, they're too late, and now with the tactical marines on the move, they're not able to. They're not easily able to do a decent grenade combo at the moment. Well, I do end up sneaking the commando nobs behind this tactical squad, begin knocking them down as my sluggers get back in position, cancelling and switching to regular fire as soon as the slugger boys get back in position. Managed to get one model kill off. I do believe that's all it's going to be. Of course, with these other guys in the way, they are able to inflict awful damage to these guys. Double sluggers can be really hard to control because as soon as they manage to get through the scouts or something like that, well, they're going to be doing the damage, so to say. Another 2-on-1 here. Phil jumps the sluggers, and he probably could have taken them, but with the commandos the commandos are usually underrated, seeing how they have shorter range than big shooters, and generally they doing a normal boulder damage for a tier 3 unit is pretty damn terrible. Still, they do a lot of damage for their all things considered. So having them around to assist definitely put a bigger dent on the assault marines, even though they are heavy armor. Uncle Phil's finally managed to reach tier 2. Meanwhile, I do decide to go for an early tier 3. I don't really recall what my plan was at this point, but I definitely think I could more easily have tried to shut out Uncle Phil if I actually invested in some more tier 2 units. Seeing how he's basically only restacking, easily have gone in with either the warthog as mentioned, which would have been fantastic, seeing how I have double sluggers, or even a death dread would have given him a lot of trouble at this point. He is getting power back under control, but forcing him to spend additional power on the anti-vehicle weaponry, such as the missile launcher and melter bomb would have been pretty devastating blow to him economy-wise. But yeah, as you can see, once the commandos actually started opening regular fire on these scouts, they actually go down very, very quickly. Sluggers coming in, the rest of the Space Marines are forced to retreat. Well, I did end up seeing how I only had a single shooter boy squad. I did decide to bestow upon them a shooter knob, mostly in order to make sure that I can actually to give them a bigger chance of staying alive, to be honest. He's going to be making a very nice investment at the moment. He does know from experience that Orkz, in particular Commando Nob, tends to have a lot of trouble against walkers, and with how these dreadnoughts are now a fair bit cheaper power-wise than they were before, they are very worthwhile investment indeed, especially as long as you're keeping up. Now, if I were playing a bit smarter, I would definitely not be making the mistake in regards to the unit choice that I do make. You'll see soon enough. But still, this dreadnought is gonna cause me a lot of trouble, seeing how my sluggers are definitely my main force at the moment. I think I tried to plant that booby trap there, but it didn't really work, so shucks to that. Though with these commando nobs assisting and holding down the scouts, they are gunned down entirely by this force, which is a pretty bad blow for Uncle Phil, as it both denies him the ability to repair his new dreadnought here, and of course not having any detection could be a problem for him as well. Not to mention he doesn't have any shotguns to actually prevent these sluggers from just charging. Still, pathfinding looks pretty bad for a moment, and unfortunate that he didn't decide to just charge right through that dread. But that would have been terrible indeed. He does get a fair few kills, which ends up greatly buffing these Space Marines around, and as you can see, even this considerable forces forced off to retreat. At this point I figure I ended up getting a tank instead of knobs. I do believe that ended up being a mistake, since seeing how well knobs would easily have made a short work of the dreadnought after the stun wore off. Meanwhile, the tank I would have to micromanage a fair bit more. Still, it does force Uncle Phil to spend more resources to probably hard counter it, so we'll be seeing how it goes in a bit. Meanwhile, the Kommando knob has gotten his rocket launcher out. I'm just doing a bit of power harassment here. See, Uncle Phil doesn't have any detection at the moment, so I'm basically just sneaking around, doing a few shots, barely not killing this here thing, and another shot. At that point, you basically just move away before Uncle Phil can get in range and start forcing melee. Still, it doesn't really quite work out that way, and I think I'm forced to run at this point. Well, actually no, I do manage to sneak away, hide in this alcove here in order to hidey hole, so to say. Make sure I don't get spotted. A fair bit of power bashing going on. Now Uncle Phil's entirely taken over my power farm up here, which is gonna give him a huge amount of power income. At this point I do believe the gig is up for the Kommando knob, and he does, recall correctly, end up running at this point. Nope, he just fires on one last ability, doing a bit of poking damage, and I do believe at this point I should probably have retreated. Yeah, he is on the run now, but on the other hand, Uncle Phil does see it coming, and if he had targeted the Kommando knob, there's a very decent chance he would have killed it. Instead, he does decide to continue charging them against his shooter boys, who really should run away before this actually happened. The thing about a Dreadnought is that whenever it kills a single unit, it's gonna buff these guys immensely in regards to the damage done at this personally see. Very dangerous indeed. The tank is now out, and it's just doing its thing, doing a bit of poking damage against this poor Dreadnought here. The looter tank of the Orkz isn't the greatest anti-vehicle option, simply because it doesn't have any proper anti-vehicle weapon upgrades. The only upgrade is the this here reinforced plating that increases the hit points, but it's only gonna be doing this the amount of damage you're seeing right here. It does have a special ability to compensate, but that's not really anti-vehicle either. So generally, this thing will be losing against the other tanks. Against the Walker though, as long as you can cut it, that's gonna be fine. Pretty nice grenade from Uncle Phil there. You have a war going on here, and there's the ability from the tank I talk about. It does do pretty serious damage against these poor guys. And the scouts do end up going down along with their sergeant. So pretty major blow indeed. Phil is now getting the orb of the Omnisire in order to try and control the tank, and I am really gonna be dropping the ball about that thing. It's really one of the easiest anti-vehicle weapons to avoid, but you can see he just finished building it and then he starts firing, which probably saved his Techmarine's life. Seeing how this thing here is disabled, it can no longer fire on the Techmarine now. He's been controlled by these newly summoned commandos. Well, they're just doing their thing. That's all in this. Got getting forced off. Here comes the Dreadnought once again, fully repaired by the scout spots without any upgrades. Definitely need one of those out. Did kind of drop the ball on the firebomb here. Still, it does mean he's not going to be advancing as soon as that thing is up, and it does give my looter tank the opportunity to blast this generator if I was actually playing smart. Like so. At this point, I've had a fair bit of trouble actually getting my sluggers up to this here tank without running into the Dreadnought. I do believe they're gonna be colliding once again. Of course, very bad for the sluggers. There's a charge coming in. The assault marines now have the melted bomb upgrade, and they fire it off instantaneously. And yeah, this tank is in a lot of trouble now. I am using my Kommando enough to try and delay these guys, but he is getting suppressed by the Techmarine. Yeah, these guys are just gonna move up and boom. Yeah, this Luger tank is pretty much dead. He could probably turn around as submarines to finish it. You try and knock him down, but it's too late, and boom. Down goes the first Luger tank. And bringing out a second one, I do believe that was in order to... oh dear. Very brutal and very brutal retreat path Dreadnought there, and completely murdering one of the slugger squads. And once again the Kommando squad's going down. At this point, thing is actually I'm starting to get rather worried, to put it mildly. I am very far ahead in regards to victory point, but it's pretty damn clear at this point that Uncle Phil has the vastly superior army. You end up trying to capture the victory points in order to stay my lead through that, but very, very nice there by Uncle Phil. Stunning, landing a perfect grenade, and wham! That is one very, very dead Kommando knob right there. Very nice play by Uncle Phil there. The walkers in general tend to be one of the few units still in the game that are capable of stopping a retreating unit dead in its tracks, and you can see that worked out pretty damn beautifully there. I'm not quite sure why I actually cloaked these sluggers here. I do think I was trying to sneak up on something. I believe it was this area, but well, nothing's there. He's keeping his army pretty close at the moment. Pretty much a dedicated force. Well, in the meantime, I'm pretty much trying to get up here and capture another victory point to start the victory point. Uncle Phil's now taking to tier 3, and seeing how he's got a ton of red at the moment, he's going to be able to pretty easily afford a call-in. It could both be the Venerable Dreadnought, which wouldn't be a bad choice considering how well his regular one has done in this game so far, and of course he could be getting out of Terminator Squad, which is going to be very hard for me to deal with at the moment. Doing a bit of harassment with the Kommando knob, firing a few rockets on this here Dreadnought here. Still though, Uncle Phil is playing pretty carefully, pulling it back, and I do reckon if well, he's probably going to be trying to get an engagement off before he actually starts repairing this thing. I do believe this is one of the major engagements coming up. I do keep forgetting to hide that thing. Yeah, at this point I'm basically having my Kommando knob shoot at the Dreadnought tank, doing the same thing and just charging in my sluggers into the rocket attack in order to try and stop them from firing. Also using the ability of the Kommando knob to knock around a bit, but there's the drop pod from Uncle Phil, which I do believe is what ends up saving the life of these tactical marine squad here. You end up losing another slugger barely on the way to the retreat. But at this point the Dreadnought has been taking quite a beating from both the Kommando knob hitting over here as well as these... and there's the ability. Very nice shot there actually. Ends up killing 2 models of this poor tactical marine squad. Yeah, this marine squad is in a lot of trouble. He does get the shot off before he explodes into bits, and down goes the Luger tank as well. Pretty much ended up killing the entirety of both of armies. Uncle Phil now has his original Flamer tactical marine squad at level 4, as well as his assault marines also level 4. His Techmarine has also gotten a lot of experience from all this fighting, and he's now sitting on level 6. Meanwhile, I pretty much only have a shooter boy squad out, and well, thing is, they can't beat a single of Uncle Phil's units in straight up combat. You can see that even while just standing in the open and capping, they were holding their own pretty damn well against Uncle Phil. At this point, I do figure that Zoggett knobs it is, and that pretty much ended up saving the game for me there. Still, I do make a pretty terrible mistake here. As you can see, Uncle Phil is down to 19 victory points, so I figure I could pretty much just go all in and try and recap this victory point here. I cloaked the knob so Uncle Phil doesn't know I actually have those guys out. He does know that my commander there, and he does teleport right in there. Starts beating down my poor shooter, but I do manage to misclick, and as you can see, I end up retreating the knobs there. huge mistake, to put it mildly, and it's a shocking Christmas miracle that the shooter boys actually got away. We ended up slugging away a bit against these Terminators, but they do have power fist, and as you can see, those guys give no fucks about this puny orc knife there, gunning the poor guy down before he can actually do anything. However, since Uncle Phil never recaptured his power node here, I have a vantage point in order to summon in these commandos, and they are now ninja capping Uncle Phil's natural victory point. And of course the knobs are just gonna push on. I know that Uncle Phil's used the teleport on this Terminator, so I can pretty safely just start chasing on my knobs while the shooter boys here end up capping this victory point. Meanwhile, these commandos are gonna do what they can in order to delay the capping of this hero point. Doing the good old burner bomb probably a bit too early. Should have waited for the these here scout marines to actually go in and do that. I do end up targeting the scout marine, and you can see that's taking awful damage from these assault marines. But at this point, the part is pretty much over for the commandos. You end up keeping them in combat for a little too long. I like to say that's pretty much just because I needed to buy them time, but truth of the matter is I'm playing pretty stupid at this point, throwing everything I have in order to keep these guys off. Commandos barely managed to kill off those scouts before they decapped the point, and well, at this point the game is just gonna tick towards the end. Uncle Phil is trying to the end to finish decapping this point and bringing it even, but at that point that probably wouldn't have mattered. The shooters were already on the way up there to decap. And well, I think that was a pretty good example of why it's very important to press your advantages. I had pretty much the perfect early game, pretty much denying Uncle Phil power the entire time. Still, he ended up getting a pretty decent force without the use of too much power, and because I never used my advantage and went for some tier 2 units to clench the win, instead foolishly going for tier 3 rush, which gave Uncle Phil the time he needed to actually reach tier 2 and gave him one hell of a fighting chance. So very well played to Uncle Phil indeed, and I'm very certain if he'd actually been using the force command in this particular battle, this could have turned out entirely different. I do believe the Commando knob especially has a lot more trouble fighting against the force commander than any of the other space marines. So that's it. Pretty darn well played by Uncle Phil indeed, and it's definitely showing that I'm still rusty. Still, I had a lot of fun with this game, and hopefully you enjoyed watching as well. For now, this has been Zonin signing off. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you kids around, hopefully not in a month's time once again.